Yo, what's going on everyone? Guiding Light here, and in this video, I'm going to show you guys how to defeat the Yellowbrow boss fight. Now, before we get into the actual fight, I just wanted to let you guys know this is definitely one of the longest fights that I've ever done in any game. So this will definitely be a pretty long video, and I'm going to make it as short as I can, but I also want to cover every part of the fight. Now, before we get into it, I want to show you guys my build. I don't think it's super important to have this on, but I was about level 50, and I figured I'd show you all the stats I have. I even have a couple extra points I didn't even spend, so you could even adjust the build and put even more stuff on it if you want. Now, this boss is definitely difficult, but I think with this strategy I found, it's not as tough as it should be. And I was stuck on this for a while, at least the last part of it, but after finding the strategy, I ended up getting through it in like 15 or 20 minutes. So very quickly, guys, let's get into the start of the fight. I'm also going to put the cutscenes in here as well because I thought it was pretty good cutscene, and also you may want to go back later because this is going to be the end of the chapter. Now I'm not going to spoil anything, but if you want to skip past the cutscenes, you can. But I am going to leave them in here. Now, if there's any items in this video you want but haven't unlocked, I have made guides on how to unlock every single item I have, so you can check back at the channel and see how you can unlock these for yourselves if you want them. But let's jump into the fight.
Ages ago, Jinjanza and I were peers. Ever questing with goodwill, he was. His nature made him question the supremacy of us beyond mortal woe and grief. He deemed all souls could be akin to us. Why then do we tower whilst others merely kneel and offer? He asked. I told him the others are less than us. His misstep cast him back into the endless cycle. Reborn, he drew 3 disciples. But what did they change? One ended up a corpse, others fugitives. He too took to the shadows. Pathetic. Those journeyers have misplaced their worship. Why bet on the sutra when one oneself can be a Buddha?
Kneel before the Buddha of the future.
So the first phase of the fight is not really all that difficult. I start out by just simply popping my AoE effects. From there, I use my immobilize. And after the immobilize is over, you can go and you can pop the invisibility effect as well. Now, the invisibility effect, I think, is the most effective against this boss because after the invisibility attack, if you time it properly, it will stun the boss. Another big thing to keep in mind with this boss is that the light attack combo will also stagger him. Now, it's not going to stagger him for all that long, but if you time everything properly, it will stagger the boss long enough so that you can actually continuously just keep doing that light attack combo. Now, it's not going to work out perfectly every time, but the light attack combo can stagger him, and then if you can get your timing down, you can do a second light attack combo and stagger him again. Now, with the proper build on, because of the stats I have on, you can still do the light attack combo even when you run out of stamina. So if you time it perfectly, you can actually just keep constantly hitting him with this combo. But it's very tough to do that because he will eventually get some attacks in. Now, all of his attacks can be dodged, and for the most part, they're pretty simple. The first phase of this boss, I don't think you're going to have too much trouble with. But there are 2 more phases. Now, I don't want to spoil too much of the boss, but I will give you guys the tips that you need to get through it. So as you can see there, I do pop that invisibility. Once the invisibility is popped, it creates a clone, and the boss will be distracted. Now you just need to make sure that you hit your attack at the right time while there's an opening so that you actually get the bonus damage and you stagger the boss with that hit. Now, if you don't time the invisibility perfectly, the boss can still actually hit you while you're invisible. So if he's already locked onto you in the while you're going invisible, the attack will still come through. So just make sure that the attack isn't, you can still dodge it, but just make sure that he isn't still locked on even though you're invisible. It's not that it's a bug, it's just that your timing has to be right. Now there's also going to be a couple attacks you just can't fight through, so you will have to dodge them all and be on the lookout for the electricity that comes along the ground. Now if you really are struggling, you could go back in and actually put on extra shock resistance and things like that too, but I don't think all that stuff's necessary. I was able to beat it with actually not really too many issues. I never really died to shock damage, but it would help a bit. So you will have to dodge a lot of these attacks. As you can see, I just popped my first health potion, so I don't think this part of the boss is too tough to get through.
Obstinate fool! My sack awaits misguided souls like you. Enter within and find enlightenment.
Idiot! That trickster caught you too! This wicked sack is much more vicious than before, nurturing such evilness! Yellowbrow must have woven wukong strength into it. That bastard! Join me! Let's fight our war.
After the first boss, you're going to go into this room. I pretty much use the same strategy. I stun the boss and I call in these extra supports. Now the hardest part about this boss really is just the fact that I couldn't see anything. For the most part, you can just rush right through it. Now one thing to keep in mind is that if you go down, you're basically still going to have that checkpoint. You don't have to beat it all at once. But luckily this boss can be knocked over as well. So if you follow the same method as the first boss like I was telling you, you can just continuously knock them over with that light attack combo. Now keep in mind, use your transformation as early as you can because you're going to have a chance to actually get it back. And when you're in this transformation, what you're going to want to do is build up a combo. Once you build up a big enough combo and that bar on the bottom right corner is full, if you dodge and do a heavy attack, it will unleash a one-time attack that does a considerable amount of damage. Now you can do this like 3 times every time you pop the transformation. And if you can get that attack to hit, it'll account for like 20 to 30% of the boss's health every time. So it's really good attack. Now, eventually, like I said, it's really tough to see. He's going to start spawning in these clones as well. Now, you're supposed to have this guy that's helping you out through the fight, but he's really not going to do all that much. But luckily, he does work as a distraction at some points during the fight. Now, the best part about this, or the best way to beat him, is definitely just to continuously try and knock him over. So use your immobilize and all of your spells to just get an opening to finally knock him over. And then once he's knocked over, you want to try to create a combo where you just do it back to back and continuously do that. Now, it can be tough, and if you don't follow up with a combo or just continuously knock him over back to back, you can definitely still beat him, but that's going to be the easiest way. Now, unfortunately, there's actually a third phase to this boss. Like I said, it's like the longest boss I've ever done. The third phase is by far the hardest, but I'm going to show you guys a bunch of tricks to get through it and I think you'll be able to get it done. So I'll see you guys there.
Kill it. Do it. Yes. Just like that. That's who you are.
Keep your wits, boy! Don't get swayed!
Here, let me quench your thirst for blood.
Now, at this part of the fight, you're going to meet Yellowbrow again, but this time around, it's going to be a much different fight than before. Now, I was stuck on this fight for about 45 minutes trying to find out how to beat it, and then I finally figured out the trick to actually get it done. So it was a lot harder before I knew about it, and I'm going to give you guys all the tips you need to get done. Now, this boss is going to go in 3 phases, and it's actually going to stop the fight and go into a miniature cutscene during the fight, and there's nothing you can do about it. So I'm going to start this fight over again. I'm going to walk you guys through the entire thing. Now, as soon as the boss started, I went and I popped him with the immobilize effect to be able to get the biggest combo in that I could. Now, eventually, the boss is going to go and galvanize himself. He's going to go completely metal, and you're not going to be able to do any damage to him directly. From this point, what you need to do is hit him with back-to-back heavy attacks. You can do this by holding triangle. Now, you can dodge all of his attacks, but it takes like 2 minutes, and eventually you're just going to get bored of the fight if you do it that way. So you do want to break his shell, and the only way that I found to do it is by doing that heavy attack, which is by holding triangle. Now, once you get him out of this, you'll just go back to doing damage as normal, the same time as you did the first time you fought him. Now, his attacks are going to be a lot harder hitting, but you can dodge all of them the same way you would any other heavy attacks from any of the other bosses. Now, at about 25% health, every time you get about 25% of his health down, he is going to break you down into a cutscene, and there's really no way around it. Once you get out of this cutscene, double check your health, just kind of reset, get up to full health, and get ready to dodge the first 2 or 3 attacks the boss throws at you. After you dodge the first 2 or 3 attacks, go ahead and pop your transformation. Now, the boss will eventually start blinking around and teleporting. He's going to try to stay as far away from you as possible because he's so scared. He knows you're just going to rip through him. So he has to run away. He has to pop these shields. So if he does that, just rush him with the transformation and then freeze him up again every time you want to do damage. Now, if you can't freeze him up, it's fine. Just hit him with the light attack combo. Now, eventually, he's going to try his sad attempts to do these attacks, but just go to the other side of the map, and he literally can't touch you. Now, eventually, he's going to go metal again because he's just terrified. He knows the fight's pretty much done. It's already been 3 boss phases, 3 fights. We've torn through everything he has. We went through this. We fought this dude 3 times now, and the dude literally still can't touch us. So obviously, he's going to have to play scared. Now, just once he goes scared, just go ahead and hit triangle, break his shield again. Now, this time around, it actually is going to be a little bit harder because he's going to have these lightning attacks coming out. So make sure that you do hit him in between the attacks or try and freeze him up or blink at him whenever he pops those so that you can get your heavy attacks in. Now you're going to eventually break his shield down. Once you do this, he's going to get staggered. If you have your stun, you can go ahead and pop it as soon as he gets staggered. The reason why is because it's going to keep him in there longer and you can force more damage output that way. Eventually, halfway through the fight, you're going to go into another cutscene. But this time around, at least you know you're almost done with the fight. Now, to be fair, the third phase is a little bit tougher. Just like all the other bosses, they kind of get enraged towards the end of the fights. But again, once the cutscene's over, just reset, get back up to full health. I only used like 2 health potions. I'm not saying that you have to only use 2, but I'm just saying it wasn't as hard as I thought once I figured this out. Now, eventually he's going to get into these attacks where he charges up into this blue state. Whenever that attack comes out, just go as far away from him as you can and wait till the attack's over. And eventually, when you want to do damage again, or if you need a break, you can always pop that blink attack until you can reset and get a better attempt at damage. Now, like I said, guys, this third phase is kind of a little bit tough, to be fair. It was a little bit harder than the other phases because he is going to do these sweeping attacks along the ground. Another thing to keep in mind during this phase is that anytime he hits the ground, he's going to have these traces of lightning. And anytime you go through those traces, you are going to take additional damage from the shock. So to be fair, you want to try and stay out of those or like go around them when you fight them. Now, this was only the first time that I'd gotten to this phase of the fight because of this new strategy I'd found. So I really was not prepared for that part. And to be fair, I took way more damage during this portion than I probably would have had I known about that. But I told myself there's no way I was going to let this dude beat me, especially after being stuck on him for like 45 minutes. So we still got through with really low health. I'm sure you guys will finish this fight or this attack with much more health than I had. But at this stage of the fight, what you can do is just continuously do the back-to-back light attack combos I was explaining earlier. Every time you do it, it will stagger him up. And every time you stagger him, if you time it right, you can just do it back-to-back and he won't be able to get any attacks in. Now, eventually, he may go metal one final time. If he does, you can crack him out of it the same way you did the first 2. If you do it fast enough, he won't even pop lightning on you, so it's kind of free, actually. And then when he gets out of the metal state, he's going to be stunned, and you can just go back to immobilizing him. Now, I know it's a lot to take in, and I know it's definitely tougher than I made it out to be. It definitely took me like an hour to beat it, but hopefully you enjoyed this guide. It helps you out. I'm going to let the final cutscene end. If you guys don't want it spoiled, you can go ahead and skip out, and I will catch you in the next one. Peace.
You shall fall by their hand. I, Yellowbrow, fight solely for myself. I will not lose. If only I could wield that monkey's leg just once more.
This rogue stole my seed sack and fled here. With Wukong's relic, he made it a soul-snatching vessel. He also took my look and my name to trick his old foes into vengeance.
You potbelly! I should have figured out it was you.
Forgive my little deception.
Stolen once, I buy it. Stolen twice, I doubt it.
Your doubt is fair. I shouldn't have underestimated his nerve. I meant to subdue him myself, but you two were swifter. Fortune favors you, Bajie. But I see great potential in this young one. He might just be... the right monkey.
Enough of this empty talk. I don't care if Yellowbrow drowns in the lake. We can't have Wukong's relic sink with him.
For that, pray, lend me that rake of yours.
buried in the mortal world for a good while, didn't you? Speak clearly.
Once again, I proved it to you, Jinshanzu.
You chose a means to an end, not to a proof. You sow chaos in hearts just for the sake of winning. How absurd and pathetic.
If not for winning, why debate over means and ends?
That stone monkey merely named himself a sage, yet this altar boy dared to found his own faith and proclaim himself Buddha. Your faith is firm and will unwavering. You resisted his lures. All those who were high and mighty found their minds lost and their faith stained. But was it truly because of their devotion to Yellowbrow? As you braved ice and snow, did the stench of shattered ego reach your nose?